This is my commonplace notebook. It's a space where I put all of my thoughts and brain dumps and things like that. I just finished my first commonplace notebook for the year. I started it in January and I'm just about finished with a page or two left. I figured it's time to close the book. I wanted to do a little tour of what I put inside my commonplace in case you're looking to start your own, or if you're curious what I put in mine. The best description of a commonplace that I found before starting one is treat it like the notes app on your phone. Any ideas, any thoughts, anything that comes by your mind and you want a place to document, a commonplace is where you would store all this information. If you're someone like me and you have information in your brain and you just need a place to store it, or if you want to do some quick evening pages or clear your mind before you sleep or before you focus on something just to get your mind clear, I really and highly recommend having a commonplace notebook. Now, although I say notebook or journal interchangeably, this is actually a plain notebook from Muji. It's in the size A6 and there are about 30 pages, which double-sided gives you 60. At least for me, I don't care to have that much thickness in my notebooks just because I like how it lays flat like this. This year, I really want to make a passport-sized, A6-sized, leather-bound journal cover. So similar to the travel covers and travel journals that I see online, I really like this size just because I've become accustomed to using this size for my commonplace notebooks. You can also treat it like a sketchbook, and when you have the leather journal, typically the inserts lay really flat. At least I prefer to have my inserts really flat. I just think it's more sleek, and if I am going to treat it like my notes app per se, it does fit in my pocket or in any kind of bag or any size bag that I own. This is what the cover looks like. If I don't have my notebook handy, I kind of just jot down things on sticky notes and then I could kind of just stick them here or whatever page they would fit. Now, if you're worried about how do I organize my commonplace, how do I get started, the goal of it is just to start. You're not supposed to make it pretty, you're not supposed to make it organized, it's just supposed to work for you. Or whatever organized looks like for you, that's the whole point of this. It's supposed to work with you, not against you. What I like to do is to create a key. I've just assigned different colors to different topics, so depending on what type of idea it is, any recommendations I get, I've assigned it all by color. I also just wanted an excuse to swatch the new highlighters I got. I like to assign each page to a topic or a note. Think of each page for every 2 pages as your entire note. Now you can even rotate it this way or you can keep it this way. What I like to do is just let everything's flat, and I know that I'm going to put a lot of notes under one specific subject. I like to dedicate 2 pages just for that note. This first note here is just some journal spread ideas, and as I go along I kind of treat it like a to-do list. So my main journal is this one, but this is a bit heavy and bulky and I don't really want to bring a personal journal everywhere I go. So this little guy comes with me in my pocket or in my bag. And it's really nice to just clip on a pen, and there you go. One thing I have is travel spots. As you can see, I didn't really have a lot of travel spots. I even did them based on location, and this is probably the least used page in my commonplace. Sometimes I do some doodles or quick drawings, and you can see that all throughout the book. Things such as thumbnails or quick sketches, either for filming or any big art pieces that I want to make. There's also just some quick little loose fashion sketches that I have if I'm sitting in a cafe, if I'm bored, if I need something to do with my hands, or if I see someone wearing a really interesting outfit and it inspires me, I can just pull this up and use it as you would a sketchbook. Because the whole commonplace is pretty sketchy by nature, it kind of allows you to get used to sketching. A lot of people have sketchbook or sticker anxiety. They're scared to use something because it looks nice. The goal with this is not for it to be nice. For me, if I know that it is supposed to be used, it's supposed to be loved, I don't mind if it ends up looking a bit sketchy. So there is a few pages kind of falling out because I ended up ripping some middle pages and it kind of loosened the binding, so some of the few pages are really starting to come apart. But to me, it's just a sign of a well-used, well-loved notebook. Quick other sketch because I thought it was really cute. Some other pages I have are very, very loose drawings or sketches that I have on the smaller sticky notes, so I just dedicated a page just for that. I also like to keep track of things that I know I would want to do a big spreadsheet for later. For example, if I'm vending somewhere or if I draw something or sell some ACOs or anything like that. My first 3 art cards that I sold ever. Eventually I do want to have a spreadsheet for all of this, but just getting started, I really just need pen and paper to document what it is, and then I can revisit it later. Something I've also seen other people do is use some sticky tabs or sticky notes so that they can easily find the pages that they want. For me, this is why I prefer a really smaller, thinner notebook. I can just flip through everything, and because I'm flipping through a bunch of different notes at once, it's not as overwhelming versus if commonplace was this thick. So this is just another reason why I prefer more flat. I'm going to share a few more exercises that I like to keep in my commonplace. Another thing that I use a commonplace for is to be curious. I saw this really cool exercise online, and it encouraged me to write down every single thing that I'm curious about and then ask myself, why am I curious about those things? I made a huge mind map. I dedicated 2 pages for that. And I started writing everything that I'm curious about. So I have things such as art, and then I listed out bullet points of why it's so interesting or fascinating to me. Why am I curious, and why do I care? Why am I passionate about art specifically? Things like it's satisfying, there's no rules, it's just me, it's a form of expression. As the list goes on, I kind of see why each specific thing calls out to me or why I'm curious about this thing. Being curious about something, you don't need to be good at it. It just has to be intriguing or fascinating to you and something that you either want to learn how to do yourself or learn more about. I think it's really important for us to be curious. Aside from reading Substacks, blogs, books, or watching other YouTube videos or other people do the things that you're curious about, just writing it down allows you to be curious without judgment. And the goal of this exercise is to write down everything you're curious about without judgment. This is, again, very personal and just for you to look at, unless of course you want to share kind of like what I'm doing right now. Another thing that I wrote down, I like organizing and decluttering. I like to declutter my room. Sometimes I have to declutter my room because I just have so much stuff, but I like decluttering. It kind of shuts up my mind. I'm really interested in fashion, so I love Monster High dolls. I love to make a video on my collection because I just have so many. That was kind of my signature toy or franchise growing up, and I still am curious about, at least generation 1, but that's a whole other video topic. I really like colors and textures and compositions of what makes cool, interesting fashion that I myself am curious about. I kind of noticed that as I write down a lot of these things, surface level, I just think I'm into a lot of creative things and self-expressionism. As I jot down reasoning as to why, I noticed that I crave a lot of control in my life. It tells you a lot about yourself, either something you lack, something you crave, and the things that you're curious about, the things that excite you or fascinate you, may or may not reflect that. The reasons why I'm curious about these things reflects other parts of my life, and it was really interesting to find that out about myself. So that's an exercise that I encourage you to do in your commonplace, should you decide to make one. Another one of my favorite commonplace pages is a words page. A list of words in the past few months that I thought were really, really fascinating, and I thought I'd share some of the words with you. The first word is Q. I don't think it needs that many letters. Next is immaterial. When something's immaterial, it's another word to describe irrelevance, something that you realize you don't really need to account for. So I thought immaterial is a great word that I can apply to some unnecessary things in my life. Next is albatross. And one thing I like to put beside each of the words is the date that I heard the word and I thought, yeah, this is really interesting, I need to write this down. So on March 13th, I noticed someone with the username Albatross and Finch liked one of my posts. The show 16 that I watched growing up, their version of Abercrombie and Fitch is called Albatross and Finch. So seeing this person have such a niche name, that really spoke out to me. And the weirdest thing is, later on that night, I did a market, and my friend said to me, "This is my albatross." I think it was in reference to his setup. It was really elaborate and really intricate. I just thought it was so interesting that that was repeated specifically on that day. Next is revamp. I heard someone say revamp in a way of redoing or reconstructing. I also found out that a vamp is a part of a shoe. So maybe the word revamp is similar to getting your shoe resoled. You're getting something revamped. And I think it comes from that word and that craft specifically, and now it just kind of stuck around when you're referring to redoing or improving something. I I do want to share some of my art more. I was just planning out this thumbnail for a Chinese New Year piece, and because it's Year of the Horse, I was just thinking of ways to incorporate fire, what color horse I would have, and what kind of composition I'd have. I did eventually have my prints ordered and printed out. I want to take this time to show you the final piece. This is the first piece I've done that I've started on a plane and then finished shortly after. So I had a few hours on a plane ride in March. Bringing those thumbnails to fruition was really satisfying. This is the final piece and she's so beautiful. Like, I love her so much. Have a stack of 8 here, aside from one that I'm gifting to some other people and then one for myself. Means that I have 5 pieces left. I'm not sure if I want to sell them or make them exclusive prints. So yeah. If you are interested in making a commonplace notebook, I hope this encourages you and inspires you to make your own. If you are interested in my Lunar New Year piece, it will be available on my website. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.